All right. I hope this doesn't sound terrible. Let's see if this time means that anyone is actually going to be online. I am very, very curious. And we'll give it time. Oh, we got one. And hopefully some people can check in and let me know where they're watching from. Get me some questions that I can answer for everybody. Fantastic. And if anyone wants to confirm that they can actually hear me, please let me know. Mate, one from Wellington. There we go. Numero uno. What time is it? 11:15. I imagine Wellington's been a little nicer than Auckland today. It's been pretty miserable. Man, been enjoying it so far. I've had some pretty good food and coffee so far, which has been awesome. NS from Canada, wondering if you offer lessons. I do, mate. If you find my email on here, please write to me. The next couple of weeks, I'm obviously away from home. I'm here in New Zealand. And but after that, I'll be taking on some new students. So, and Jack, the American Dreamer, what's up, man? I hope you're doing well. I imagine this is, I got to look at what the actual times are. I imagine this is sort of like a good time of the day if you're somewhere in Europe. Jack, the American Dreamer from Italy. There you go. And Dean Opie, say hello to Tess. G'day, Tess. Hope you're enjoying the stream. Oh, we got a true legend of the show on here. Todge. Everyone say hi to the other John Brown as well in the chat. So how are you, John? What's going on? So please fire away with your questions. I normally do like a Monday Q&A. So it's Monday and I was going to record something, but I've just been hanging out, trying to actually get into the time zone. So yeah, had a bit of a nap this afternoon. We had a long travel day yesterday, so feeling a little more human today would be a good way to say it. Here we go. This one's from Natty Bar, Natty or Not Bar, on lessons you like to focus on a particular area or genre. Not really, man. Pretty much it all depends on what the student wants to do. So, you know, if someone hits me up for lessons and all they want to do is Van Halen stuff, we'll start with that. We'll do Van Halen stuff and, you know, eventually maybe branch out from there. But yeah, it's all very driven by what people want to do or get better at, which is what I want to help people with their playing. You know, I could just go through things that interest me, but that's only really going to be good for me at the end of the day. So welcome to New Zealand. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome at the moment. I will pop my email in the stream, NS, and please feel free to shoot me an email. Might have to go by Todge for a few videos. It does sound like a very Northern European name. It'll be pronounced like Torb or something like that. Will there be New Zealand Gear podcast? We will. I'll have to drag Joe, who's playing bass on this show and is my roommate, into this. He's currently slaving away, working on some charts for a different gig at the moment. So yeah, might try to drag him into the Gear podcast universe. Jack, that would be awesome, bro. I'd love to come. I've actually been to Italy briefly, spent an afternoon there when we were on tour, when we had a day off. So that'd be awesome to do that, mate. Robot Man and Stooky Person is here, being Stooky. And here we go. We got some WA content. Yes. It makes me feel at home to see some people from WA in here. Did I put my email in there? I did. So NS, you've now got that email. I look forward to hearing from you. Yeah, we'll sort something out and book it in, mate. Someone else. There was a question I feel like I missed. Oh, There's a comment that I missed on here. So there you go, Robot Man. Hang on. That's the way you do it. Hope everyone's doing well. And for anyone, yeah, the Stookster is in the house, mate. It's awesome. So yeah, fire away with your questions. I'm going to hang out on here for a little bit. I have some refreshing H2O to get me through so I don't get too much of a dry mouth. Here we go. No one wants to listen to you play guitar. They don't understand me. Hey, man, that's fine. There's lots of people out there that will like listening to you play guitar. You can't please everyone. Just try please yourself. That's the most important thing. That's the most important thing to do there. As a Stooky person might say, you got to keep it Stooky, bro. That's what it's all about. Here we go. This is what we want on here. One guitar, one pedal, one amp on a desert island. At the moment, I mean, I've been playing my DGT a lot, so that's probably going to be the choice for the guitar. That one kind of sits in that perfect little Bermuda triangle of tone where you can get some really nice Les Paul sounds out of it, some kind of Strat Telly style sounds. Can do the modern thing really well, cleans up great. It's a pretty great guitar. One pedal, I reckon you need a delay or something. You know, can I say an FM3? Is that a pedal, or does that not count? Or an H90 maybe? And then I don't know, probably like a Mark IV. That would keep me happy for about 5 minutes on a desert island. Distract me from all the desert islandness, for use of a better term. Water is the goat of drinks everyone can have. That's one way to put it, bro. It's without it we would not be. Put it that way. Do I have any thoughts on the new Ed Sheeran looper that's come out? It actually looks like it's got some pretty sweet features, to be honest. I'm curious. I saw its Head Rusher doing the looping side of it, and I know they had that big Head Rush looper board, which I've seen exactly 0 people ever gigging with. So I wonder if maybe that bombed and they've taken some of the tech and put it into what they're doing with Ed. Because, I mean, you know, the dude's playing stadiums with his sort of custom looping setup. So what's he using, like Ableton or something? Which makes sense. It's a great live performance tool. But yeah, I'd be actually kind of curious to check one out. I'm sure a lot of people rolled their eyes when they saw it, but yeah, that looks like a pretty cool thing to do. Italy guitar show in Padova. I would love to go to that, mate. Was that recently? I'm fairly certain Marco would have been at that, because I'm fairly certain that's where he lives as well. He's a great player. Maybe next year, maybe we can convince him to get me over for it. That'd be awesome. Another one from the Stookster. Am I going to buy any guitars or guitar-related gear? I haven't made any plans. So the schedule for what we're doing is we were actually meant to start the shows on Thursday this week. So there's meant to be 4 or 5 shows this weekend originally. That's in a Spiegel tent in the sort of square here in Auckland, but the tent got delayed. You know, all the stuff that's happening with shipping through the Red Sea, so it's had to take the long way around the Horn of Africa, and apparently it's only just docked. So yeah, a couple of the shows actually had to get pulled, so now it starts on Tuesday next week. So I've basically got, it's not a week off, there's stuff going on, there's rehearsals and stuff like that. I do have a couple of free days, which is nice. I'm going to catch up with a few mates here, which will be nice. But there's 16 gigs, so it's kind of going to be all business for most, pardon me, for most of it. My wife is coming over as well, so we're going to do the Hobbiton thing. She's out here for a week, right in the middle of it, which will be exciting. But yeah, I think it's mostly just going to be finding good food and good coffee, to be honest, bro. I've already been that's kind of been the priority so far. But yeah, so we have from, how many is that going to be then? I think it's 16 shows in 2 weeks now over that period of time. Sorry, I'm absolutely rambling trying to figure this out. My brain's still very, very mushy. I am borrowing. I bought my rubato, so that's going to be awesome. That'll be the main guitar for this gig. And I am borrowing a PRS CE24 that they've hooked me up with. So yeah, I mean, look, I might fall in love with that thing and end up wanting to take it with me. But yeah, hey, as Troy said, this far east. I mean, we're east of Melbourne, bro. You know, what's going to happen? Actually, the coffee I had today was pretty good. As much as I want to begrudgingly say that. So yeah, look, in very, very long way of saying I have no plans, but I never have any plans to do that. So I'm going to go and check out some of the stores around here and probably just be a nuisance on Thursday morning, which should be fun. This one from Blake Banham. Have I tried the Cole Clark hybrid guitar? I haven't tried it yet, but I did some workshops at the Melbourne Guitar Show last year. And the person who went on after me was Lloyd Spiegel, who is like the Cole Clark artist in residence, and he was demoing that guitar. So that was pretty cool. Great player and singer. And yeah, it look, I'll be honest, I reckon it looks pretty ugly, just the way it's set up. Like it, you know, if you take an electric guitar and put a piezo pickup in it, it still looks like an electric guitar. If you take an acoustic guitar and put pickups on it, it really looks kind of like a bit of a monster, but it sounded really good. Like it was one of those things where, yeah, okay, this definitely makes sense. Here we go. Do you see any upside to modelers integrating preamp tubes like 12AX7s into its designs, similar to the IRX and the tube setter stuff? I mean, I really like the IRX format. I think it's cool having, you know, tube preamp and the workflow of a tube preamp and then the digital backend so you can go direct. It's a nice hybrid solution. Obviously, the advantage is with certain circuit designs, the input stages and the way they interact with your guitar and the way, you know, they might interact with plugging pedals into it or taking pedals or just rolling off your volume control is pretty important. So that's the big upside that I see to that. You know, if you're not getting the response you want out of a digital front end, maybe you'll have more luck with a tube preamp. Yeah, I don't know. Like, have you tried that? Like, if people are, I haven't tried the tube set of stuff, but I dug the IRX. So if anyone's using it, I'd be very keen to know. Natty, if you had to part-time playing another instrument, what's your preference? Lute? I don't know. I mean, we've got Troy in here, Dishwater Troy, who, you know, you could confidently do a gig on a few different instruments, couldn't you, Tondi? Like, probably, honestly, to go back to answering this question, probably bass would be the safest. You know, playing bass guitar live is pretty fun, and I'm terrible at it, but I would probably go part-time with that. So, do you know some site? Here we go. Where you can meet musicians to start a band? Not in Italy. I would say, Jack, I think what you want to do is you want to go to gigs and chat to people there. It's probably the best way to, you know, and go to different genres and different styles and chat to a bunch of people and get a feel from it that way. Because, you know, we all want to jam. Exactly. You know, this is what it's all about. Electric cello on the way, man. I remember reading about like electric violins and cellos and thinking that would be a cool thing, and then trying to play a cello once and just being like, nah, this is never, ever, ever gonna happen. Ever. I think a fretless guitar would be more realistic. And I have spoken to the Rubato guys a few times and been like, hey, you guys, because they do carbon fiber replacement necks, I'd love if I might try to convince them to make a fretless one, which I think would be pretty rad to just retrofit onto a Strat, because why not? What did I do on the plane? Well, one thing I did on the plane was not drink water, because the airline that we flew with, you had to like prepay all your meals and stuff like that. And I didn't realize until the end that they actually had water on there. So I got a very, very dry mouth. I basically tried to sleep, which is always a little bit torturous. Ate a Cliff Bar, listened to Game of Thrones on the old podcasty app. And man, what else? That's about it, man. It was 6 hours, so it wasn't too bad. Hurdy-gurdy. Have you guys seen the hurdy-gurdy player who uses some Axe effects and does like Pantera covers and stuff like that? It's pretty awesome. That is a refreshing, hydrating water drink. Roland Aerophone, yeah. Or like, honestly, just theremin, because the guy who invented the theremin was called Leon Theremin. So there you go. That would be a fun one. Yeah. What else? What else would be totally outrageous? Harp looks like it would be a nightmare. If Boss would reissue one old pedal exactly how they made it back in the day, no Wazza, what pedal would you like to see from them? Easy answer. The XT2 Extortion. That's what I would like to see, because the prices for them used are really silly at the moment, and I just want to try one. Here we go. So I was just talking about Rubato, and speak of the devil, everyone say hi to Roger and to Ollie from Rubato. They're both in the chat. So ask them some questions about how they make the guitar, because I got a few side eyes from, there were some other people checking in guitars in hard cases at the airport. And I just checked that thing in a soft case. And you know what? It went the entire trip, and I took it out and it was still perfectly in tune, which is pretty funny. It's not the first time that's happened. Or sometimes, like, one of the peg heads will get bumped, but this time it actually came off perfectly. What piece of gear am I excited about for what's coming up? There is some new stuff that I can't talk about from companies that I've demoed stuff before. It's in the kind of tube preampy space, let's put it that way. I've totally given the game away already, but yeah, there's some new stuff in that kind of realm, I think in April, which is coming out, which I'm really, really excited to. I don't have the pre-release for them yet, but hopefully once I get back I will. And there's some other pedals I've got demos coming up for, which are not just one-to-one Tube Screamer clones. I've got some other, I spent a lot of time scheduling stuff before I left. So yeah, there's a bunch of kind of tutorials and stuff like that coming up. I would still love to see something like a Fractal FM0, FM3 no foot switches. That would be a cool product. Not that it's happening that I know of, but that would be one thing. So big shout out to Natty Bar for the super chat as well. Thanks for all the content, bro. Also, definitely Kita. Well, there you go. That's the correct answer. You know what would be awesome is, and I thought about this when I saw them come out. So I've got an ASM Hydra synth. For anyone who's familiar with the synth stuff, I bought it because I just wanted a hardware synth, and it's got a patch on there called Blade Runner Titles, which is just so good. That's actually probably going to be one of the first things I pull out when I get back home and jump on the keys and make a fool of myself. But yeah, they do something called the Hydra Synth Explorer, and it's a lot smaller, and you could totally mount it on a guitar style thing. That would be hilarious. When do new episodes of the Gear Podcast come out? Well, Troy, you may be keen to know that Sunday, just gone, there was a new episode of the Gear Podcast. Do you know what it was titled, Troy? It was titled How to Amplify Your Modeler. And it got quite the response. I mean, some episodes of the Gear podcast sometimes get around 1,000 views in the first day. And this one, I was very impressed with its performance. It's had, in the first 24 hours, 2,181 views, which I think is a good sign that the Gear podcast is well worth the time we put into it. Someone's got an XT2. That's awesome. What is it? I've just never listened to clips of them. I've heard they're very like mid-focused, HM2-y sort of thing. Yeah, maybe I should just pony up and buy one and have some fun with it. Long-time fan, first-time caller. I just picked up the Vemurum Landau butter machine. Oh, dude. Tell me more about it, please. Or maybe don't tell me more about it, because then I'll have to go out and get one. What's it actually based on? I haven't really, I knew it was out, but the temptation has meant that I haven't actually gone and checked it out. Yeah, that looks pretty awesome. Is Rack Gear making a comeback? Absolutely no. It's not. It's stupid. Like, there's what you can do with pedals makes more sense, but I would love to see more things come out in both pedal and rack format, because a lot of the time I end up mounting my pedals in a rack and MIDI controlling them, which I think is really cool. So, I like the Strymon stuff and the Eventide stuff. The sheer feasibility of it, I can't see it making like a comeback to being like a mainstream option that people use, again, because so many gigs that people are doing, you can just do on like an HX Stomp or an FM3 or an FM9 quad cortex. It's like that, like the gig that I'm out here for, is using anything more than that just doesn't make sense, because the show is primarily about, the woman with 100 hula hoops on, and then the woman being suspended by her hair, and then the dude doing an insane pole dance routine in like 10-inch heels. That's why people are there to see it. You're there to prop up that experience and enhance it. So, yeah, that would be overkill, having like a huge rack of stuff that you have to transport. But so much of the MI space is enthusiasts, and I feel like people have definitely become more enthusiastic about rack gear. And because of the used prices of some old stuff, I can definitely see why people would want it to make a comeback. But again, this is very much not a mainstream opinion. And shout out to Chris Davies from Wales in the United Kingdom. I hope you're having a good day, Chris. I'm sure your day has just started. New ADA. XC2 is dog shit. I can get you one to demo. All right. Make it so, brother. The Hydrasynth, I just stare at the lights on mine. Bro, it's worth it just for that, just to have on. And I should put it in the background of more of my videos. I think having a desk that has a pull-out keyboard thing on it, I would use it more. But at the same time, I don't know if you guys are familiar with a synth guy on YouTube called Cuckoo. I saw he just like stacks all his stuff in a drawer and keeps it out of the way and keeps his setup very minimal. So I like that. And that's sort of what I try to do. The butter machine is based on the SD9. Ooh. Okay, so is that why I've been seeing lots of videos about the SD9 circuit recently? Because I obviously know about the Landau, Scott Henderson. There's like a real specific way to use the SD9, right? Interesting. Make art great again. Bro, I think you are making art great again, single-handedly. And you can open up an art museum one day, and I would go to see that. I think it's awesome. Oh, man. Water is good. Here we go. Sound Sprut. Sorry if I missed. Maybe you answered before, but the question is your opinion on Tonewood, or is it the pickups mainly? Oh, boy. I mean, it's so easy to try to make this into like a binary, right? I think what matters is that you get on with the instrument that you play and you put in the hours on it, right? So if reproducibility is important, you want to be looking at things that have similar material properties. And I've said this before, where it's like, you know, because you can get so much variation from individual tree to individual tree, when you're trying to choose things for an instrument, and traditionally these have been chosen this way, is that you're looking for consistency and you're looking for particular material properties that will keep your instrument stable. Obviously, an acoustic instrument, you know, it's hard to quantify how much of the tone comes down to construction, or comes down to the species of the wood, or comes down to the material properties, or it comes down to like what you do with it, or the thickness, or all these kind of things. What is abundantly clear is that you can get a great sounding, great playing guitar that isn't made out of wood. Like, that's absolutely, I mean, I'm playing an all carbon fiber guitar for this gig. It sounds fantastic. You do not have to be tied to traditional materials. And again, I'm absolutely getting a groin rash from straddling the fence so hard on this one. It's something that I don't think I care that much about the way some other people care, where it's like, no, it's absolutely the wood, of course it matters, or no, only the pickups matter. There's so many parameters involved in that space, where because of the nature of the instrument, like trying to have the same guitar and only control for tone wood, I think is fraught with inconsistencies. But yeah, I mean, you know, if you make the guitar right and you put good pickups and electronics in it, you can kind of do a lot of things with it. I don't think anyone is going to fault you for not using, like, you know, 100-year-old Honduran mahogany with maple pulled from, you know, a particular hill in a particular bay in Maryland or something like that. So yeah, now we've got some real questions going. What do you think about Harley Reid running around in the midfield? Well, Troy, of course, I reckon, why not just, part of me says get the young buck in and amongst it, but I'd love to see him play half forward and just start doming half forward flank. You know, start maybe sneaking a goal or two a game that way, maybe for a year or two. You know, really get him built up, get him game tough, and then into the middle. Basically, just use the Juddy method. You know, what they did with Chris Judd. Because I know there's people who think he's not Chris Judd, but the Juddy method works. Pedal Ward and Rat Gear getting mass neglect. Yeah, yep, big time. So pinch harmonics through the entire gig, ultimate enhancement. Yes, there are some. Exactly, there are some things where one of the, Troy will back this up, one of the bands we play with sometimes, I reckon the singer gets a bit annoyed, but I'll do pinch harmonics in very inappropriate points of songs, like Summer of '69, but just, you know, what if Zakk Wylde played it and there was a pinch harmonic every third note? Which you can imagine how awful it sounds. Come back to this one. This one is from Kay. Off to bed, next coffee with me. Appreciate your work and welcome. Mate, that is so generous. Thank you so much. If you've got a suggestion for a place to check out in Auckland for some good coffee, I would love to know your suggestions. Everyone's told me that Wellington's got the best coffee in New Zealand, though. So, but yeah, that is incredibly generous, mate. Thank you very much. And feel free to fire away with any questions. I know you're going to bed, but anything for the next Q&A. When you get a chance, drop it in. And yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. We have the one and only GT Singh in here. Hey, bro. It's good. New Zealand's good so far. Haven't had to do a lot other than get adjusted. You can see, where are we? See, there's me. That tower that looks like a big hypodermic needle is like just there behind another building, and I can see a little bit of the bay as well. So, yeah, had a great bagel for breakfast. There's a place just down the road, which was awesome. It's definitely a hard story about Tonewood in the hands of the player. It's a story itself. Yeah, it's funny that it has become such a hot issue. It's probably something people have been talking about for a long time, but you know, what a weird thing to get hung up about, and especially if you aren't providing data. Like I'd just argue to you blue in the face because it sounds like it should be a good idea. There's a lot of things like that. I remember taking a science and physics class where they explained something and they said that's a really convincing argument, right? But it's totally wrong and it doesn't correspond to the physical stuff that we measure. So that's a good example. I think a lot of the Tonewood for and against arguments aren't really backed up by anything empirical. So yeah, we should listen to the data on here, kids. Another one from Blake. Have you played a Turok, and what's your thoughts? There's a music store in Newcastle that sells them. I haven't played a Turok. I think the closest I have come is the Churiatone, or Seriatone, as people would say. I think it's Churiatone. It's a Malaysian word. I think it translates to happy tone. Nevertheless, they do like a Dumble ODS style amp, which I think the Turoks are kind of loosely based on a particular Dumble thing. Oh, yes, that's my power supply. That's not good. So yeah, I've actually never played one. What you should totally do though is go in and spend like 90 minutes in there just playing it, and then buy a single guitar pick, and so you'll think about it. Hands up who's done that on more than one occasion in their life. Like check out a piece of gear for way too long because you got nothing else to do, and you're like, oh yeah, hey, thanks, bro. Yeah, do you have any jazz threes? Yeah, I'll just take one. Thanks. See ya. Anyway, back to the Vemurum. 2 trim pots where you can tweak the low mids and what they call sparkle, which is around 6K. Ah, gosh darn it. How much are these things? Vemurum butter machine. Let's see. Are they even available in Australia yet? The gear page, Vemurum. Man, I can't even see anywhere to buy them. Oh, yeah, here we go. Michael Landau signature. Oof. So list price of $619. I mean, what does an SD9 sell for now? That's the thing. Did Maxon also do their own version of the SD9, or did they only make it for Ibanez? Huh. Of course, someone's comparing the Maxon SD9 to the butter machine. Okay, so you can get a Maxon SD9 for $300, which, and this is going to become a thing, isn't it? It's like, I wonder if you could mod it to the Vemurum spec. Oh, there you go. Oh, Reverb thinks I'm in New Zealand because I am in New Zealand at the moment. Yeah, I'm really curious to try one now, even just an SD9. So, all right, Troy is off. GT is off. And you don't have to leave the country, just you forgot my power supply. Yeah, I'm a genius, aren't I? If you do want it, Chris, I'll send you a message, bro. And yeah, there is someone at home who can sort you out. So Chris let me borrow his Victory Kraken pedal. This is my confession to the world. And I gave it to Troy to give back to Chris. And I just didn't give Troy the power supply. It's got a very specific power supply. So now Chris can't play his pedal. I'm a good friend, aren't I? Just sitting here in a hotel, not giving people their power supply. So yeah, I'll message you, Brendog, and I'll just slide into the next question. I just invested in the Synergy World, Sin 1 and a Fry at Deliverance, looking to get another module. What do you recommend? Had to return the 2 CPs that seem to have an issue. That is a bummer about the 2CP, because that's the first one I was going to suggest. I think you've got the best all-around module. Like the Deliverance, if you want to do a clean thing, it's great. If you want to do like a kind of modded 800 thing, it's great. If you want to do a really heavy thing, it's awesome. I mean, what do you like? Do you want a high gain thing to complement it? Do you want a cleaner thing to complement it? I would say the 800 module, but it covers some similar ground. I love the Uberschall module, the Bogner one. That's such a good high gain one. The 5150 is awesome as well. The other John Brown did a video with the VH4 module, of the diesel module, comparing it to a VH4, which is worth checking out as well. And if you want something cleaner, like the Baseman one is really good, and the TDLX is awesome as well. That was a real toss-up when I bought mine, whether I was going to do the TDLX or the B-Man, and I went with the TDLX. And I listened to demos of the B-Man. I'm like, oh, maybe I should have done that one. Yeah, but I think the Uber, my three favorites are like the Uber, the 800, and the 2CP. They're the ones that I play the most. Yeah, but they're always releasing new stuff as well. So the OS, the kind of Dumble style one, is really cool actually as well. If you like the sound of the 2CP, but you want something maybe a bit smoother or more for like a kind of blues rock thing, that one's a great one to check out. Yes, there you go. Wadey 1960 CS knows the truth of this thing. John Brown, the Ultra Lead module is sick too. The only issue is the EQ sliders are so small, you just have to look at them sideways to dramatically shift the tone. Yeah, I can't remember if I even did a demo with that one. It's definitely got its own thing going on. Like the Freyet stuff has that like really, the way I would describe it is like a kind of granulated distortion sound. You know, it's like very articulate, very saturated, but very articulate at the same time. So I'm going to call it granulated. Fishing Mission, WA, Sustainiac pickups worth the pennies. I've got a guitar with a Fernandez sustainer in it, and it's pretty cool. Like if you mostly play on the bridge pickup and you put a sustainer in your main guitar, I reckon you would have even more fun on that guitar than normal. I've never tried the Sustainiac though, which, as I understand it, is a slightly different thing. But yeah, the Fernandez sustainer is a lot of fun. Actually, that'd be kind of fun to. Oh man, now I'm getting some ideas. Okay, so I've got a PRS Custom 24 with a JB and a jazz set in it, and I'm always thinking maybe I should do like something a bit different with that guitar. That'd be cool with a sustainer. But I really like the jazz neck pickup, so that's the one issue there. Everyone is trying plugins through hi-fi monitors, but the real thing going out of the sound card to the true power amp and a cab with a 12-inch. This is the answer. Yeah, I've got a few students actually who do that, where they're using the neural DSP stuff and just coming out of basically using their computer as the modeler and the preamp, and that run the plugin standalone on your computer, pipe it out to your audio interface, send that through a power amp and a cab, and gonna have a pretty darn awesome time. That's another great way to do a hybrid rig as well. Or you could use like Mainstage or Blue Cap Audio, do a standalone program where you can load up VSTs in it as well as their plugins, which I've done a video with, which is really, really cool. The Widowed Shredder, the Friedman Dirty Shirley is a great module. Yeah, that's again in that kind of like 800 deliverance-y sort of realm, in my opinion. Oh, this is interesting. I had to play around with Germino. It's okay, but I very much prefer the neural DSP plugins. Tone King Imperial and Fussy is AF with the digital stuff. Do you mean Genome, the 2 notes one? Because I think Germino are they like Modded Marshalls or something like that? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you mean Genome, right? That's cool to know that you had a crack, and it's the thing. You got to go with what you like the most, man. The NDSP plugins are like, their presets are so well thought out as well. They're very nicely curated. Cool. So you were talking about Genome, yeah. The Genome stuff you can load captures into, which I think is sort of the killer app portion of it. It'd be awesome if Neural came out with a capturing thing like ToneX, where you can do it on your computer and use the captures in their plugins or on the QC. That would be killer. All right, we have Electronic just joined. How's the gig going with the Circus? Did you bring the Fractal? How's it playing with the Circus? I've been here for a little over 24 hours. So we flew direct from Perth. So I was at the airport at 4:30 in the AM and got to New Zealand about 6:37 PM local time here. And there was some hoo-ha at the airport where I think some flights had been delayed. So it was took us ages to get out of customs, which is normally pretty quick. And yeah, got into the hotel. We're basically in they're like 2-bedroom apartment suite sort of thing. So I've got my own little room here and my own ensuite, which is nice as a shared living area. And then I'm rooming with the bass player for the gig, Joe. And he's currently doing a bunch of transcribing and writing charts for another gig he's got after this. And tomorrow is the first rehearsal with the band. I think Wednesday we've got a rehearsal and a run through of the whole show. It was meant to be starting on Thursday, and the venue got held up in the Red Sea, so that is not going to be. The tent will not be erected in time, so the first show is actually Tuesday week, which is kind of nice, getting time to do a couple of extra rehearsals and not be as stressed with it. I'm not stressed about it. I know the songs. I've done the work. It's mostly when you have, it's not my job to coordinate everything. So the people who are having to coordinate, it's stress for them. So I guess it does free up a little bit of extra time there. And, just getting some downtime here is always it's a massive perk of the gig as well, trying to find out good places to eat and maybe catch some live music and things like that will be pretty nice. So so far it's great. All I've done is sleep and eat and hang out and chill and sort of get acquainted with everyone. We had like a lunch today with most of the crew involved, so yeah, that was nice. Everyone on this gig super nice, super chilled out as well. So yeah, and New Zealand's a pretty chilled out place. Everyone's really, really friendly as well. Can't complain. Cannot complain. So, and again, I just want to shout out to Natty Bar and to Kay for the super chats. It's super generous as well. So, yeah, that's how the Circus is going so far. Oh, I didn't even answer the rest of the question. Do you bring the Fractal? Yes, I'm using the FM9 for this gig. So I've got a video which I shot while I was still in Perth going through the rig. It'll come out tomorrow. Yeah, FM9 for it, expression pedal. I just need more, I need more instant access foot switches basically, because I need a good crunch sound, a good lead sound. I need like a good funky clean sound, like a very compressed clean. And then one of the kind of main things with this Circus Cabaret thing is like, if I was going to describe the sound of the show, it's tremolo and spring reverb with a clean sound. So yeah, having the new spring reverbs and the new tremolos in the FM9, it's so good. Like the tube spring model into the, I think it's called the Neon Trem, or maybe I'm using the Bias Trem. I forget what I'm using for a trem, but yeah, that's so good. Like it's instantly vibey having that kind of spring reverb into a clean amp and a bit of tremolo on there. And, because you can run two reverbs on the FM9, I'm using the gold plate for the sort of ambient stuff. And Actually, just rolling with JCM 800s for it. So the main crunch sounds, the Brit 2203, using the low input model on it for the clean sound, and then the 800 mod for the really heavy stuff. And yeah, with the rubato, I've got 6 positions on there. So, running like the really heavy sound with the bridge humbucker versus the really heavy sound with the tap neck pickup can give me some different textures. All right, Rog, thanks so much for tuning in, mate. And we will chat very soon. And I think your website's back up, I saw. So if anyone wants to go and check out the Rubato Guitars website, do it. They're pretty amazing instruments. So what was I saying? That's why I need the FM9. I need that. I need there's a couple of songs where I need big ambient reverbs and delays. So I could probably run what I need on the FM3, but having tap tempo, tuner, crunch, lead, tremolo, funky clean, super ambient with some drive, I sort of need I need those 8 sounds, and I just need a couple of extra foot switches to do it. And there's some parts where it's like, you're playing a screaming lead and then you got to cut straight into your trem sound. So I need to be able to go from every other sound instantly to any other sound in there. I did try setup with the FM3, and yeah, without bringing in FC6, in which case I may as well just use the FM9 because it's got more power under the hood. So yeah, that's why I'm using that. Sound great. Have I ever used the Formant? Yes, there are some tutorials up on how to get I've used it for Living on a Prayer. It's really fun running the wah and the Formant in parallel with each other. You get a very vocal sort of wah sound. That's a cool way to use it. Or placing it in parallel between the amp and the cab is a cool way to do it as well. That works really well for the Living on a Prayer or Man in the Box and stuff like that. If you hunt around on the forum, there's a few pretty good settings on there to go through how to set that up. Yeah, totally different than my Smash. I mean, normally the ragdoll stuff is like just go out and cut heads, play like as hard and as heavy as possible, smash it out, get it done. This one definitely calls for slightly more subtlety in parts. There is still plenty of like rock guitar in it, which makes me really happy. So here we go. This one is from Sound Sprout again. Enjoying every video. Guitar playing is top-notch. Gear is amazing. Very nice to see such humble guys. Mate, I massively appreciate that. I'm very, very lucky to get the time to do what I do and to have people like yourself who appreciate it. So it's all part of the brotherhood of tone, right? We're all kind of chasing the same stuff. So I do massively appreciate that. Here I am sitting in a hotel room, get to chat and hang out with people and talk about things that I like. It's pretty sweet. Frost Motion. Barely missing your live streams the last few times. I tend to get only minutes after your stream ends, but also catch you. All right, dude. Appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will definitely try and do a few more while I'm here. Maybe with the FM9 hooked up. And I can make some guitar noises. Oh, mate. Vice Sachatrucci, thank you very much. I shall definitely do that. The coffee fund is overflowing after this video. So Martin wants to know if I'm going to do a rig rundown. I think I'll definitely have to do like some vlogging and maybe like a little kind of coffee day where I go and try a bunch of them and compare them. That'd be pretty fun. And yeah, I mean, the coffees are certainly flowing. So yeah, thank you to everyone for the supers, man. I massively appreciate it. In reference to the FM9 or FM3, it's always better to have more than enough than to not have enough. Exactly. Wadey, your dad knew what was up. Exactly. The other thing as well, which I found myself using the FM3 more for ragdoll stuff, is with the 9. There's more buttons. I can have more things, So when I can have more things, I'm going to program more things, and then I just don't use them because I run around on stage, and it's, you know, that's more about getting people pumped up, and, you know, it's a rock show. You know, you want to see the lead guitarist jumping around and having a good time. So yeah, I just forget about it. So it's sort of like, well, I can take this much smaller thing and just have the 4 sounds that I actually do need for specific parts. Whereas this gig, again, I'm not the circus act. I'm just there to make the guitar noises. So yeah, it should be good fun. But yeah, we'll definitely be doing a rig rundown, Martin, especially once we're in the venue as well, because I think we have 2 days of sort of setup and tech and things like that. So yeah, I'll definitely put up some kind of little tour vlogs, maybe at the end of the first week of shows, and then after the entire run. So yeah, all right, it's past midnight here, so I'm going to tap out and actually get some sleep. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. I'll do some more of these over the week while I have some time. It's nice to sort of have this, you know, feels like part of my normal routine where I'm doing the YouTube thing and interacting with all of you. There are plenty of videos that I scheduled while I was at home. I had a pretty mental week last week, just prepping things. So yeah, thank you to everybody for tuning in. I'll chat to all of you very soon. And if there were any questions I didn't get to, leave them in the comments of the video, and I'll do my best to get back to you in the morning. Yeah, cheers, guys. Take it easy. Massively appreciate it.